Now, I want to ask whether it is possible to live in the new numbness of life through the influence of what I may call inspirational writers, because you find people talking about living in the moment, uh, forgetting the past, and all that. Like, it has made its way into the mainstream now. So, is this proof that people are, after all, getting uh, an idea of what the business is, John, Glenn?
Well, I'm not going to really say who's getting what or whatever. Again, an aspect of this is what people demonstrate. And so, I see that as people step up and share uh, what the focus is, just like if they were in the corporation or just like if they were with a religion or whatever, they go out there, they talk about Jesus. Or when I was in the corporation, I shared what Paul was doing. I taught for years, 30 years, I did public lecturing. For over 30 years, I was in the public doing lecturing, etc., set up everything I could from libraries to colleges, etc., created courses. And especially when Paul came out with Secret Knowledge of Dreams right before he left here, and he only did about, if I remember right, about 7 chapters. I got the original manuscript, and from that, I immediately went to the college. And when no one was doing anything here, and I was the little neophyte, the little greenie, and I just do something. I went and set up courses and classes there for many, many years, off and on. And so this is the idea with what we're doing. Yeah, people can do whatever they want, but the idea that I'm trying to convey is that as we support each other with this focus, with this isness, it becomes a real strength for the presentation to be what it is, and to simply share, go out there and share. Like Ava and I have made thousands of images. Kelsey is making, Vesna is making. These are wonderful. I'm very humbled by these things when I see that people step up. Tim and others and Val, they're doing almost every day, they're doing a radio show or talking on Facebook, Facebook Live, just doing something. You see, this is a demonstration, not just working their 9 to 5 job. You can do that. You can think yourself as a good person. Fine, have fun. Again, it's all agreement, isn't it? Or is real freedom and a real life beyond everything worth more? You decide. The boys and life are not going to decide for you. So, yeah, our adventure here is of a particular Charles. And so, we each decide this every single moment. So, was there more to that question?
Yeah, I find what you're presenting doing out there, uh, and it would appear that living in the Eastern's life has a lower and a higher aspect to it, and when you seem to be concentrating on the higher aspects of the Eastern's life, whereas we are here and now in this life, on this life level, and the lower aspects of the Eastern's of life, I think will help to stabilize people in this dimension. So, what can you say about this brain? Because you also have people like his name is what Eckhart Eckhart Tolle talks about living in the moment, uh, trying to accept life as it is, you see, and forgetting about the past and all life, everything is this moment time we are living in. That past is past and gone. So I begin to ask, was the East revealed to two people? So, can tell us something.
Anyhow, the reference to Eckhart Tolle, yes, and respectfully, yes, because life is now. But as you look at what Eckhart Tolle is referring to, he's basically referring to the now in creation. All right, doesn't have a recognition of the isness, and like many people, uses postulates to look to. You know, uh, being good, being spiritual. The God ideas and whatever it's woven in there. I haven't read everything he said, but I get the basic idea. But again, our reference is the true reality life is. And again, that's not easy. This is not easy to recognize because we have our personal self. And it's just simply like, it's like the old saying, lay your cards on the table. So in other words, this is why you have your imagination and creation, because you can supersede the literal side. You can creatively move things around where the mind just takes in the information and then just simply repeats it back. That's the mind. Okay, just like the brain. The brain is not the thinker. The brain is a receiver. That's all it is. It just receives impressions. That's it. The real awareness is the one that creates the impression. So the now that Eckhart Tolle talks about is in creation. And again, it's not about, excuse me, higher or lower. This again becomes confusing. So again, we have in society, we have, we're supposedly the first class nation, and then we have third world nations, etc. This is really sad, but people have accepted these ideas of higher and lower, and there's not. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't care what it is. I see each individual. We are all awareness. It doesn't matter what the body type or our background or how much money we got or where we live. But it's all off of what we decide. It's really attitude. It's really intent is what it is, plus those things. But again, the world is looking to, and yeah, you can say, oh, well, I'm living now. Okay, that's fine. Is that it? No, there's more to it than that. That is a reference. When I say the new nowness life is, that is a created reference. That's like a postulate, but only in creation. He's only referring to creation, not the true reality life is. Look, anything that I've said here or presented, ask Rebazar and Paul. I'm not overriding anything. Ask them, just like the ECK membership, when they say, well, Harry's the master or whatever. That's fine. Why don't you ask Rebazar and Paul? That becomes the difference. So this is where it is best to take the time to see the difference between creation and the isness and not try and blend it all. Again, with Paul, with the God Worlds chart, even though it was laid out with the higher and lower, it was actually all blended. And this is how our personal life here is. All the 5 bodies are blended together. Most people do not know they have 5 bodies. Most people do not know how they can fan them out and take a look at how each one operates, you see? That would be like having 5 cars and then all of a sudden hiring somebody to squash all 5 of them together, okay? And let's say you did that, okay, like when they crush cars in the junkyard. Okay, so you squash all 5 of them together. Try to get into that sucker and try to operate it. Well, this is where we are in our so-called personal consciousness now, because all the bodies are mashed together and all these ideas. The personal self for most people is more confused than ever. Plus what's going on the outside with all the marketing ploy, deception, and propaganda, poisoning, etc. Everything that is thrown at us, okay, see, everything is squashed together. So it's learning to see it for what it is and not just, the surface, agreement with an idea that's been created. I don't expect, I don't look for people to agree with what I'm doing. Actually, my adventure is the confrontation. I'm more interested in disagreement, to tell you, sincerely, because that becomes the challenge to become more aware and figure it out. When people just agree, it's like, oh, okay, well, I can just take a nap, everything's fine. What does it matter? But the thing is that when they disagree, well, that becomes a challenge, and this becomes fun. So this is the galactic adventure I'm on too. Hey, we got a lot of disagreement out there. And the several people that are with me on this, they know this and we giggle about it. But you know what? We're doing it. And it's becoming very real. It's very, very interesting. So you see, here's some new views for you to consider. Because the personal self is always looking for thrills and comfort and thrills. That's it. And that's the personal self, which is really the physical part, which is just, I call it the duh body or the goo body, okay? Because it's just the brain, the bones, the flesh, the blood, and all the funny stuff that we put into it, okay? That's really what it is. And we think that we are this person. Well, that's fine. That's all okay. But there's really more to it. And then there's the astral body, which creates the sensations, okay, which we call love and sex and all these things that, are attached to that. And, oh, there's such a love affair with that, isn't it? We're in love with our astral body because, oh, it just, we have feelings, all right, which is fine. Hey, play with that. When you look at the sun, do you see any of that? Do you see the ideas of the mind, belief, hope, faith, freedom, happiness, sadness? When you look at the sun, do you see any of these things? That's your mental body. And then you have your memory body, your past lives, and all those memories you accumulated. Do you see that with the sun? Now you have your intuitive body. Now, what's the idea of that? Gee, who uses their intuition? That's really pretty hard to do, and to gain insight to recognize your real awareness. So we are of a particular here, aren't we? So when you take all of this and so much more, and you look at what Eckhart Tolle and others, respectfully, they have free will, they can do whatever they want. Doesn't make sense with the whole of life. Really, all what he's talking about, it's really not it's his now in his mind, but he's talking about he's referring to past, present, and future in creation. The new nowness is referring to the isness. Life is endless universes, real universes with no authorities and no restrictions. That's what I'm referring to. And yeah, that's a biggie. And who will step up and creatively present the best they can something real that refers to that, and not just postulates and sound good ideas. Go ahead, Charles.
Some people may think that you are giving sermons, and when you look at the various meanings of what a sermon is, outside of the conventional meaning, you find that you may be accused of sermonizing. What is a sermon? It's a long piece of admonition, reproof, a lecture. It could also be a criticism. It could also involve censure, a criticism, reprimand. It could be a speech. So, in the context of your presentation, do you think you are sermonizing?
Okay, again, Charles, that's a funny question, but I like it because it's a challenge. It would seem to be that. I get it. You can put any definition you want on it. Actually, I just wrote a group from an individual. His name is Marky. I'll just say that wrote of a particular. He's very good at hemming and hawing when he writes. And so I would say he probably took courses in college to really hem and haw good. So I helped him out a little bit. You can ask Kelsey or somebody to refer to the recent Facebook group I created a few days ago. But anyhow, so I'm looking at what you said about the sermon stuff, and I get it. It sounds like a sermon. I wouldn't doubt it. I should get on TV and maybe I could make a lot of money doing this. But again, that's not my intent. My intent is the adventure. And there's a bigger picture that I'm focused on. And fortunately, I have agreement from the real guides and the true silent ones from the real universes. So this makes it interesting. But anyhow, I would say that what I'm providing is a real controversy. Would you agree?
Yeah, Duane. So very controversial what you say.
That's it, short and sweet.
Yeah, Duane.
That was it, Charles. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't hear. I didn't hear you.
No, that was it, short and sweet. From what you're saying, uh, I see myself as providing a real controversy, and I'm fine with that. Because again, I'm not looking for agreement. So to the onlooking public, most, if not all of what I'm doing is controversial because, again, the new presentation is not a category. That's what I like about it. You know, as I looked over to when I first started this, and, you know, once you first start it and you name your business, you're committed to it until you change it. But I like that because, again, there's no category to it. It's not spiritual. It's not religious. It's not education. It's not scientific. It's none of these things, even though I do refer to a real education and real guidance. Yeah, that becomes so. I need a reference here accordingly. But what I'm providing is a real controversy because it's not in agreement with the restrictions and authorities of creation, but more so with real freedom and none of that. But you got to figure it out.